From Castle Rexworth and the Rexworth Estates, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you are, whenever you are. My name is Rexworth, Lord Rexworth. And I welcome you to yet another impromptu stream for this Wednesday, the 26th of November 2025. Happy to see you, Jade. Welcome in everybody. Do make sure that you're following me across all platforms. There's the links there in the Twitch chat, if those of you who happen to be watching over on Twitch. Website is lordrexworth.com, lordrexworth.com. That's where you find everything. Pinned to the Twitch chat. Do make sure that you're following me over on Kick, kick.com/lordrexworth, kick.com/lordrexworth. And also you can go to lordrexworth.com, find a link to the Rumble page. Give me a follow over there, because you may be noticing some fresh content that's been uploaded to the Rumble page. And that content has not been made available yet on YouTube. So publishing things a little bit earlier over on Rumble to incentivize people to follow over there. But you will still see it eventually over on YouTube. So, little incentive for everybody. But do make sure you follow me across all platforms because, you know, Twitch is a dumpster fire these days. I saw somebody post that they're now offering a $5,000 option to gift 1,000 subs. And someone joked, must be Dan Clancy's way of trying to afford more bottle service girls or something to that effect. But yeah, Twitch continues to be a dumpster fire. Not really much of a future over there. And I'm happy to see growth occurring, well, anywhere really, but especially on Kick. It's a good platform. It seems to have taken the best of Twitch without all the nonsense, and seems to be getting better by the day. And then, of course, there's Rumble, which is also making continuous improvements. And chance to be a big fish in a small pond over there. There's not too many VTubers on Rumble. The ones in particular that we know of, probably the better-known ones that I know, there's Confused Coast, there's Zatrist, there's Amalgamite, I think even, Jester, the Godian Gangster does streams over there, but I know they also do on Kick. Anyways, lots of people making the move over to Kick these days. That's exactly what we're doing. Slowly but surely migrating everything over to Kick and to other platforms. Because Twitch and YouTube, let's just face it, they're part of the mainstream now. And Twitch has made it clear that they do not like VTubers at all. They will apply all sorts of double standards to them that they would never do to flesh streamers. And YouTube, well, they're starting to abandon, or they have been in the process of abandoning, what put them on the map in the first place. They want to court Hollywood, and apparently Hollywood wants to court them as well. So they have just said, yeah, you know what, fuck the independent content creator. We're just going to go with Hollywood and with the traditional outlets and turn our platform into that. Okay. There's alternatives out there. We will just go to those. There's Rumble. There's Kick. There's TikTok, if that's your thing. There's Odyssey. Strovo. We've still got choices out there, chat. Even though there's people out there that would love to blackpill and doom post about how it's so over. It's not. There's still places where independent content creators can express themselves, and express themselves freely. Not have to worry about censorious tyrants at some giant mega corporation trying to forcibly downvote or suppress your videos in the algorithm because they don't like what you're saying, and they're going to use more brand risk and more advertisers as an excuse and a pretext. But you make no mistake, that's exactly what it is. The advertisers could care less. I really think they could care less. I've never believed in the concept of brand risk or that advertisers are these cagey, hypersensitive lot. They really don't care. All they are concerned with is whether or not people are buying product. In the end, a lot of them are really just concerned with buying product. Now, of course, there are activists in any circle you go to, and undoubtedly there are some that are avowed leftists and globalists who think anything to the right of Mao Zedong is just verboten and unacceptable and needs to be suppressed. But I think by and large, most advertisers just want to get their word out, want to get the name out there, and they want to sell product. And if they have to do it through someone like me on the right, or someone on the left like Dylan Mulvaney, just to give you two examples, whatever works. Whatever works, they'll do it. Anyways, enough yapping about state of the industry. Let's get into some reacts and some newsies, yeah? Maybe, just maybe, we will have some time that we can play a game. Maybe. But I still have so many tabs. I think I closed out a lot, and I may end up closing out a lot more just because I don't know if we're going to get to all. I doubt we'll be able to get to all of these. But there's a few here that I really wanted to get to. There was one here I wanted to get to in the last stream, didn't get a chance to. Bring on the news. There we are. That's the spirit. Well, this is from GB News. Those of you who don't know what GB News is, it's a new alternative, more right-leaning news source in the UK. Sort of their version of Fox News, but meant to be a response to BBC, ITV, Sky News, that sort of thing. And got an interesting documentary here. 30 minutes. It's called This is Civil War. GB News investigates the inside the far left. Make sure browser audio is unmuted for this. And here we go.
I guess resist how you want to resist is what I would say.
Even through killing?
I don't know. I don't think we're at that stage yet, but...
Yet. He's just like, I don't know. To the concept of killing people. This shows you where we're at, chat. He's like, don't want to admit to it on camera, but, you know, secretly I could be talked into it. Ray Idol, welcome in. Long time no see. Indeed. How you been?
I hope we don't get there. I hope we're able to do things democratically and peacefully. But at some
But there
point,
may be a stage.
there may be a stage where we need to get more aggressive with resisting fascism.
In recent years, America...
Resisting fascism. Remember, chat, they call you a fascist because they're marking you for assault and to be killed. They put that label on you to mark you for death. Someone on the left calls you a fascist, they are basically saying to you, I want you dead. And if nobody else is going to do it, then I'm going to kill you. Treat it as a threat on your life, chat. Always regard that sort of thing as a threat on your life. Little sad, but I'm still here. How about you? Oh, I'm doing all right. Got a nice long holiday weekend. Bit early for the stretch redeem, but thank you.
Has seen a wave of far-left violence.
Hydrate.
They talk about acts of violence, they talk about guns or going to gun ranges, and the shit scares me.
The murder of Charlie Kirk, the shooting at an ICE facility in Texas, attempts on Donald Trump's life, and the killing of a healthcare CEO. Across the country, radical activists claim they're fighting fascism.
There's no political violence coming from the left, frankly.
That's bullshit. I mean, just look what they did to Charlie Kirk. Bro's lying. Bro's gaslighting. Bro's full of shit. Still is better than being a shrimp. Fair enough.
You know,
What about Charlie Kirk's death?
well,
But their war is
Well, that's different. Yeah, that's different.
increasingly against all
Gonna be lurking in the back. All right, then. Actually, if you want the view to count, try lurking on Kick. Link is pinned to the top of the Twitch chat there.
ordinary Americans. My name is Stephen Edgington, and in this film for GB News, I explore the rise of far-left extremism. I began by speaking with a former member of Antifa, the principal organisation pushing far-left activism and, in some cases, violence. Were you
And just so we're clear, Antifa is a terrorist organization.
once in Antifa?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I definitely wouldn't call myself like Antifa's strongest soldier or like, you know, I'm going to like giant Antifa conspiracy meetings.
He's saying all of this to cover his ass legally, protect himself from liability.
But it's like, you know, I think that as far as like May Day is like a holiday in Seattle where Antifa often shows a presence. So I've participated in that, you know, whether it's like protests or marches, you know, dressed in all black, wearing a mask.
Have you ever heard anyone explicitly say they're going to kill someone, or they think it's justified to attack someone because they're a fascist, for example?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like whether it's
Happens all the
people
time.
deserve to die, they have no human rights. It's like calling someone a Nazi or a fascist. It's a way to just dehumanize them. You can do whatever to them.
Precisely.
You can assault them. It's funny to them. They laugh about it. They don't kill you because you're a fascist. They call you a fascist so they can kill you.
True and real. True and real. They call you that so that they can justify killing you. Because they've brainwashed themselves into believing that they're the good guys. Anyone else who disagrees with them is bad guys, therefore bad guys must be killed.
You know, it's just a way to dehumanize people and threaten them. Originally,
Sam Hyde quote remains evergreen on that. Do not forget that these people want you broke, dead, your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny.
they were trying to bully and threaten like what they would consider right-wing extremists, like Proud Boys or what like Christian nationalists, you know, that show up to protests or events. They're bullying them. That's not the target anymore. Now the target is anyone that doesn't agree with them. Socially, when I'm not at a meeting, I'm just hanging out with people that I know, you know, more and more they talk about acts of violence, they talk about guns or going to gun ranges, and the shit scares me.
Why do you think some of these people that you
Those of you who go to gun ranges on a regular basis, or those of you who are shooters, be on the lookout for people like that. I think they make themselves a bit more obvious than we think, but especially people who own and operate gun ranges need to be on the lookout for these John Brown types who show up out of nowhere and all of a sudden want to start shooting guns or learning how to shoot a gun. I think they're fairly easy to spot. And you know, I wouldn't blame gun range owners if they just told those people, no, you're not welcome here. Get the fuck out. Because who wants to be seen as enabling terrorists? Because these people, they learn how to shoot guns, and they actually end up using those skills to shoot and maybe even kill someone. Nothing's really going to happen to them. I think most of them will probably get away with it because that's just the way our system is set up these days, because we have not purged the institutions of leftists and activists. But at the very least, if you are someone who owns a gun range, and these sorts of people come in and train using your range, that's going to be on your conscience. I don't know if you really want that. So we need to be scoping out these people and basically telling them, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Get the fuck out. Joe, welcome in. What's on the menu today? We are looking at a GB News documentary, Inside the Far Left. Maybe it's like the gay wedding cake situation where you can't deny customers. I think you can. I think people are going to be a bit more hesitant to push back against a gun range, a place where guns are sold. You know, those are the types of people that you don't really want to fuck with. But even if you have to make something up, make up some sort of pretense, or just claim it's a safety issue. It's like you're holding a weapon in an unsafe manner. Just it's any tiny little thing that you can nitpick, and just say, nope, get out. We don't feel safe with you here. Chance somebody came in.
Are arming themselves and going to gun ranges and so on.
They feel as though they're under threat. Well, we're going to be genocided or put.
They've gaslit themselves into thinking they are under threat, when they are still the prevailing people in power. They have not been purged from the halls of power. They still have ideological capture of the institutions. They have gaslit themselves into thinking that they're somehow under threat, just because a sizable enough portion of the population voted in someone they don't like into the office of the presidency. Surprised anyone is covering this end of the extremist spectrum. I'm surprised myself, but this is refreshing, and yeah, props to Stephen Edgerton here. He's doing God's work.
In prison, or Nazis have taken over America, and so we have to act now to stop it.
That kind of rhetoric and those ideas, do you feel that it's kind of like a radicalization or
Yes.
self-radicalization, almost akin to, let's say, an Islamist group?
How is this different than a group like ISIS? It's like, you create this, echo chamber, like this social group. You're not allowed to talk to any outsiders. If you interact with anyone who isn't part of the group, or who thinks differently, then you're out. You're canceled, you're untrustworthy, or worse, now you're a Nazi.
That's cult-like behavior. I mean, it's a classic definition of cult behavior.
Do you worry that some of the rhetoric coming from senior Democrats and some of the media describing Donald Trump as a Nazi, describing the Republicans as fascists, is radicalizing some people towards the kind of violence that you're talking about?
That is what caused it. So
No, well, and at the very least, it's dousing petrol on an open flame.
the Democratic leadership, it's like, whether it's like when Kamala was running, just, dead saying, well, yeah, Trump is a fascist. But, the Democrats, they just constantly pouring gasoline on it and just normalizing, this language, which, has a lot of consequences. It scares people. That's what it does. When you have, like these respected leaders, they're scaring shit out of, ordinary people, especially young people. And they feel as though, they're under threat, that they're lying.
They have to bleep this stuff because it's still, in the end, broadcast television in the UK.
Lives are in danger, and it's actually not true.
Do they think a civil war is coming?
For sure. They probably feel like we're in it right now, and they have to be.
I think most of us on both sides of the political spectrum feel like we are in a sort of cold civil war. And we have ever since the death of Charlie Kirk. I mean, when you see so many people on social media, especially on TikTok, openly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, it just shows you that America as a country, and even the world for that matter, is so deeply divided that we are in the early stages of a civil war. We haven't gotten to the fighting and shooting part yet, but it's coming. It's coming. I really don't think there's much that any of us can do about it. It seems to be the way the wheel of history is inevitably turning. Because you've got a lot of people that are hurting and suffering today, and who are left with very little, if anything, to lose. And when you put enough people in a position like that, civil unrest, violence, it all becomes inevitable. It's like that meme where the lefty pushes the guy and the right pick him up. Yeah. So many people have been pushed out of the left because they are considered not hardcore enough. And meanwhile, we've got big tentism over on the right to the point where we are letting in agent saboteurs and controlled opposition. I'm fine if people have the revelation that, yeah, you know what? Maybe we need to take a look at the arguments and take a look at what people on the right are saying, because you know what? It's actually making a damn sight more bit of sense than anything on the left. Or hey, you know what? Maybe there's some good points from both sides of the spectrum, and a sort of third way is needed. Even that I can understand. But what I personally will not tolerate is people going in and actively acting like saboteurs, trying to basically doing a lot of unforced errors and trying to make our side lose. Basically trying to bring about a loss because they can't get their way on some sort of pet project or some sort of shibboleth or pet issue of theirs that they think is more important than the survival of Western civilization and the European peoples. Battle lines were visible by the pronouns, flags, and symbols in the bios. Yes. People who put so many flags and pronouns in bios and all these fucking symbols and everything. It's an easy... It's almost like the equivalent of the nose ring IRL. Or the wild, bright hair color. Or the problematic glasses, sort of like these, only bigger and thicker. It's scary. I wish there was a way to bring us back from the brink, but it's hard to imagine what that would be outside of the total political defeat of the left. Welcome in, Mars. Yes, only their complete and total defeat and destruction at this point will bring us back to any sort of normalcy. That's how late the hour is. And as time goes on, if we don't make the necessary reforms, and especially if people on the right do not legitimately fight to win, and also purge those who are controlled opposition and agent saboteurs, and just openly tell these people, you are expelled, you are not welcome here anymore, and just hound and harass them out of polite society. Until all of that is done, the left will continue to maintain their power, they will even gain ground, and we will lose. I keep saying these things in the hopes that someone will get it, that someone will listen, but I also don't keep my hopes up on that. I may very well be much like the prophets in the Old Testament, who warned the people, turn from your wicked ways, that we might enjoy the favor of God again. But we know what happened to a lot of those prophets. Many of them were ignored, many of them were persecuted, and many of them met very violent deaths because the people did not want to listen to them, and eventually the people forcibly silenced them. I do wonder if the humanoid robots would bring about the political will to create homogeneous states thanks to the lack of need for cheap labor. I don't know. I mean, we keep seeing how AI is taking so many people's jobs and will take away so many other jobs. And yet we're also seeing a bit of a backlash to that the adoption of AI was a bit too aggressive, and that how it's going is not exactly how it was sold to people, so they're having to backtrack a little bit. But as we'll see, I've got some tabs about the absolute state of the hiring process and the job market, at least in the United States. It's a thing from Matt Forney and his Substack, just documenting the absolute rampant abuse of H-1B visas. But anyways, let's keep going with the video.
Stop no matter what the cost is, you know? And I mean, the cost is, you know, the country in chaos where like political assassinations and murder is just okay.
In Portland, Oregon, the city's ICE facility has faced nightly protests and riots for months. There, I met an independent journalist to show me what's happening on the ground.
Great to meet you. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Stephen.
Chelly
Chelly.
Bufarash.
Honey
I go by
Badger
Honey
Mum.
Badger Mom on X.
Okay, so we're here outside the ICE building, and you've done a lot of reporting here. Should we go and have a look and
Yes,
see
I
what's
think we
happening?
should go
Yeah.
check it out.
So they've written this slogan, "Look up and see American Gestapo."
Yes. Go ahead.
And fascists. I mean, this is the kind of language that they're using.
Oh, yes. They absolutely compare ICE agents and anybody that opposes them to the Gestapo.
And do you think that that kind of language around fascism and Nazis and Gestapo, does that lead to the violence? Because if that
Oh,
really
absolutely.
is true, then that justifies killing them in a way.
Yes. Oh, no, it absolutely. That's the purpose of the language. And you can see it in the crowd. I walked up last Saturday, and I have to have a bodyguard or I can't do this work anymore. I've been assaulted several times. When we walked up, someone got on a megaphone and said about me to this crowd of 100 people, "There's a right-wing agitator. She's a Nazi." And the whole mood of the crowd became sinister. And
Wow.
I immediately had to walk out in a way to just kind of calm that down.
Kill pigs.
Yeah.
Explicitly violent.
Yes. And they,
Typical anti-police rhetoric that you find on the left, and you have for well over 50 years. Referring to the cops as pigs and saying it's okay to kill police. The same sort of people who will advocate for defunding the police. They just want an anarchical state, a state of anarcho-tyranny, where they can pillage, plunder, and kill anyone who disagrees with them, any of their political enemies. They want an anarchic state of affairs so that they can go out and settle scores.
that language is throughout their entire movement. They want police debt. And they've told these officers, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, jump, jump, jump. So I overheard one of the people associated with this group, Antifa, tell one of these officers that they needed to quit their job. If they did not quit their job, they were going to be murdered in the revolution. At my home, 90 minutes south of here, last
I'm not sure that's exactly how it would work out, because the revolutionaries quite often, as soon as the revolution succeeds, the revolutionaries are the first to go. They're the first to be lined up on the wall and shot. More than likely, the police will be given an ultimatum. You're either on our side or you're a traitor, and you're going to be up against the wall with the rest of the useful idiots. So what will it be? And any police officer who has even half a brain is going to say, yeah, viva la revolucion. We have new lords and masters now. Yay! But that sort of thing doesn't matter to these people that they're talking about. It's just, it's a threat. It's a threat. It is, stand down, let us humiliate you, and let us do whatever we want, or we will kill you. I remember seeing a clip that Kershaw found about the speech manipulation that communists were using in America even before World War II ended. Even then, there were teaching rooms full of people to brand people from the establishment as Nazis. Yes. I can absolutely believe that. The Nazi moniker has been so dragged through the mud, so poisoned as a brand. It is a word that has almost been, and label that has almost been imbued with mystical powers, especially when you take entire populations and arse blast them with propaganda throughout world wars and even afterwards, as they attempt to mold and shape narratives and craft history to fit those narratives. It's incredible looking back just how much propaganda that is out there. I'm glad that we have at least a momentary respite where free speech is allowed to flourish. I don't know how long it's going to last. It may go away any day now. We will know and we will feel the chilling effect when it does happen. But for now, there's enough free speech out there occurring that more people, I think, are starting to open their eyes and realize the old Garfield meme of "you are not immune to propaganda." And they have seen just all the lies, all the fanciful tall tales that have been told throughout the ages. And then they see what the truth is. Miku in shambles right now. EU digital currency is being pushed hard now. It's scary. Yes. You see it also in the United Kingdom. I saw it myself. I was there around this same time last year. I was in the UK. Never once did I have to go get cash for anything. I used credit cards and debit cards for the entire duration of my trip. Even some of my train tickets were just streamer brain. I can't remember the name of the little square with the dots, but it was the type of barcode that you just put your phone up to a scanner, scans it, lets you through, and I was able to get on the Azuma LNER and ride that. But QR code, thank you, Joe. Sorry, again, streamer brain. Yeah, QR code. And I was able to use that and ride the Azuma between Edinburgh and London with a stop off in York. Never once did I have to go and get cash or pay with cash for anything. I mean, everything from stops I made at Marks and Spencer or Tesco, or even just going down the street a bit from where I was staying in Edinburgh to a fish and chips shop, and was able to pay for a box of fish and chips with my card. I remember that, and I was just, it's stark difference to when I was in Japan, where there were some places that they wouldn't take cards. I particularly remember a few shops at the Asakusa Shrine, the one with the big red lantern. A few of them, they didn't take cards. I had to use cash. It was the same in China. A lot of places forget about using cash or using your card for anything. because most of them were exclusive to UnionPay or something, some sort of internal Chinese card network. Didn't take Visa, they didn't take MasterCard, certainly didn't take American Express. No, it was all cash. It was astonishing how quickly it happened here in Ireland, too. People got used to using cards to order home food delivery because of drivers were afraid to even touch cash. All contactless all the time. Yeah, you carry any sort of amount of cash on you in Ireland, in the UK, in a lot of Western European cities, you're a target. You're a target for pickpockets, you're a target for thieves, you're a target for people just assault you in the street, take your wallet, take your watch, take your possessions from you, steal your phone. It's all just a giant racket now. Damien DeMoore, welcome in. Oh, the man with the alluring voice is on. Indeed I am. Indeed I am.
Week, somebody left 4 caltrops in my driveway. And those, for anybody that doesn't know, they're rebar, kind of look like a jack. They're giant and they're made to puncture tires.
So this one up here says, I want you to kill Nazis.
That one's a bit ironic. I'm told that this is some sort of... I don't know if he's a comic book animated character or a video game character, but was reactivated after being dormant for a long time. The enemies that he fought, long gone, but he just can't break out of that programming. He's stuck in that program cycle, and now sees the old, long-vanquished enemies everywhere. I'm sure, chat, you probably know more about this than I do, but that's the basic gist of what I know about that character. Yeah, Liberty Prime from Fallout 3. Funny how you sometimes see homeless people with card readers. I mean, if you know where to get them, you can order them online, and probably even order them through Amazon and have them delivered to the Amazon special Amazon mailboxes. They've got those everywhere. The lockers. It's become a worldwide thing in a lot of major cities. Chinese communists were the enemy. Wiped out the nuclear war. Yeah. But I think as far as his programming goes, he still thinks that they're around. And has seen the Chinese communists everywhere. And so he's almost like a bit of a rogue figure that you have to watch out for, lest you be branded an enemy and targeted for execution. Yeah, it's hilarious. Hilarious in the game, not so much in real life. And we are definitely seeing that with these types on the left that have whipped themselves up into such a frenzy that they see Nazis, a long since vanquished enemy. They see them everywhere. Anglo, welcome in. Hi, Rex. Just got back from playing snooker with my mates. Oh, how'd it go? Did you win, son? What's the topic? We are looking at a GB News documentary here, investigating Antifa and the far left. On a side note, we're getting a Kill Bill short film thanks to Fortnite. Wow. Fortnite actually producing something good for the change. Literally assaulted the US government and calls them communists while doing it at the behest of a bunch of hippies. Yes, I believe they call that being a useful idiot.
Yes. And I walk in and she's a Nazi.
Right.
It is incitement, and it's scary. It's more than just language.
It absolutely
it's
is incitement.
An incitement to kill.
It's incitement, and yet they get away with it because they still have the ideological capture of institutions.
People. And
they know they do. On some level, they know they do. They'll never admit it because, as always, you hide your power levels. If you have to go around boasting how powerful you are, you're probably not all that powerful.
Want somebody to die. And they have killed someone on the streets of Portland. a few years ago that was a Trump supporter. Somebody shot him in cold blood and they celebrated it. They're hoping for something like that. Somebody told me this was here, but they're doing a ICE protest in Portland, far-right content creators, BOLO. Be on the lookout for. And so they put me on there.
So you guys are setting up shop?
Yep.
So do you do this every day?
Every week. Well, they sweep it every week.
Why do you do this? Why are you protesting?
They're terrorizing our community. They're kidnapping people. You saw the no-knock warrants that they're doing here in Portland, right?
Those people are in the country illegally. They're committing a crime just by being here. If this is what it takes to get them out of America and other countries, so be it.
What do you make of some of the, we've been looking at some of the slogans written on the, ICE building and stuff. Some of them are quite violent.
I will tell you that there is a lot of pain and a lot of anger.
And that somehow justifies it all in their eyes. Yes, that's good, Joe. A man who needs to say, I am the king, is no true king. Yes.
And that is people's way of getting that anger out. And I would rather be
Killing people is their way of getting the anger out. Oh, yeah, it's just, you got a lot of anger in you, so let's just go and murder somebody because we disagree with them. Yeah, that'll get us out of our system, yeah. Vivian, welcome in. Well, look who's live, yes. Figured I'd get an early start today.
Emotional damage.
people tag and write a nasty note than it getting to a point of violence or anything else.
There has been obviously attacks on ICE officers, people being killed.
No.
There have been. I mean, look,
Yes, there has been. Stop fucking lying. Stop fucking lying, you cunt.
Not here in Portland.
not here. Yeah, across the country. So that kind of slogan, do you think?
When you are the Gestapo coming in and terrorizing the community,
That makes it okay in their eyes. When you start doing things that we think make you the Gestapo and we call you the Gestapo, that makes you a target and that means it's justified that you be hurt or killed. That's what they're saying. These people are absolutely disgusting monsters. And they all just need to be rounded up along with the illegal aliens and just, this lot can be shipped off to Guantanamo or someplace.
mass thugs kidnapping people, what do you expect the community to do?
Just remember, lady, turnabout is fair play. Don't be surprised if some right-wing radicals start justifying their behavior towards you and your lot in the same way. Amazing to see light being shown on this in a mainstream documentary. I mean, somebody's got to do it. I'm glad it's someone. I'm glad it's GB News. Anyone, literally anyone at this point. This needs to be shown to the entire world, the absolute madness and evil that we're dealing with. Yet another boomer who wants more foreign workforce, legal or illegal, and foreign numbers to pump up the prices of their properties. Honestly, the woman looks like she's homeless. She looks like that just has absolutely nothing better to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if she were a paid protester even. Monsters at least have a logic we can understand. These people do not. Yeah, they are truly brainwashed. Truly brainwashed denizens of the ungodly.
So why don't you show us where you were assaulted here outside the ICE building?
Okay, there was a woman that walked up to me and had a huge sign, and she put it this close to my face. And I won't tolerate that anymore because I can't see what's happening. And it's often a precursor to an attack. So I just pulled the sign down and away and sidestepped. And she jumped me. She went around behind me and was punching me in the head repeatedly. Get it out of my face now. I told the woman that was approaching me if she didn't get back, I was going to pepper spray her. I think I said it twice. And she continued to move forward, so I sprayed her.
Good.
And she dropped everything she had in her hands and ran straight at me. She probably weighed 300 pounds. Hit me like a linebacker and tackled me into that swale right there. And was punching me. She was on top of me and punching me everywhere she could reach. And I had just gone into a fetal position to protect my phone and my body.
So what?
Can I say this again? Learn self-defense. Learn how to fight with your fists. learn the art of close quarters combat, get good with a knife, and get very accurate with a gun if it's legal in your country. I imagine she went out that day thinking none of this would happen to her. And it did. Don't think it can't happen to you.
What are we about to see then? Where are you taking us?
Well, if it's still there, when I was driving into town the other day, I came down this road, my old neighborhood, and there was graffiti out here in an area that looked like it was getting ready to have construction done on it. And it said something about ICE and killing Trump supporters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Kill ICE now. It's more than just slogans and it's more than just graffiti, chat. This is what they intend to do. And it is just a matter of time before someone shows up to these protests with a gun or other deadly weapon and they kill an ICE agent. Or several. This is what we're dealing with. The hour is late. Recognize where we are.
This is what caught my eye yesterday when I was driving into the city was kill ICE now. There are Federal Protective Service officers and ICE officers that have been targeted in this neighborhood with their home addresses exposed. So if I were them, this would frighten me.
Obviously, there's this sign here that says "Kidnap ICE, F MAGA."
Mm-hmm.
Again, kind of violent rhetoric. Is this usual around the city, seeing these kind of signs?
It's definitely more usual now, and we are far from ICE and far from downtown. This is a working class neighborhood.
So
that's at least one of the places where they want the revolution to begin. Not even the Bolsheviks were this promotionally violent. Well, the Bolsheviks didn't have ideological capture of the institutions when they had their revolution. They didn't have an entire bureaucratic structure prepared to defend them and to look the other way on so many things. That's the big difference between now and then.
there's a lot of homelessness in Portland.
Yes, a lot. This area in particular is kind of an area where they gather because there's a lot of services in this area, from nonprofits to things that the city provides.
Easy prey for recruitment by these left-wing terrorist organizations. Give them a bit of pocket money and say, "Here, go do a violence." Closest example I can think of is the Spanish anarchists, or CNT, which you no doubt know about if you were listening to the Spain podcast on Spotify you mentioned. Well, that was actually an audiobook about the history of the Spanish Civil War. I'm still not done with that. But yes, I do know what you're talking about, Anglo. And I believe they had at least some ideological capture, or at least fellow travelers within institutions of power. They had had some time to build that up. Though ultimately it all got crushed by Franco and by the military. Trouble is, as other people pointed out, Franco never secured his gains. He kept a tight lid on things when he was alive, but he failed to make sure that everything had been purged and that no vacuum had been left in place, and failed to secure a legacy of people who could carry on and keep Spain pure and clean from all the communist scum. And so what happened? They all swooped back in, began to propagandize, gaslight, and ass-blast people with propaganda about how, oh my God, Franco was so bad, Franco was so awful, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, it was the best thing that could have happened to Spain. May Days 1937, anarchists mass murdered fellow Republicans, generals specifically because they were not revolutionary enough. Yes, and now we're starting to see a lot of people falling away from the left of the political spectrum because they have just gone absolutely batshit insane.
Does this in any way connect with the kind of far left stuff that we've been talking about earlier.
So the policies that the far left pushes, and it's the same people down there at the ICE building, they're all connected, and along with some of the people that have been elected to city council, are the making drugs not illegal anymore. It's the prison abolitionist crowd.
This
So
is their world.
I'm just really overwhelmed by how bad this is. Like, I have seen it worse, but just to see.
It's trouble. All of this in the background, this is just trouble. You see this sort of situation, you walk anywhere near it, and all of a sudden your guard is up. Your fight or flight instinct kicks in, because you don't know if these people are tweaking out on drugs or what. And at any moment, one of them could just see you, snap, and just run up to you and start attacking you with the intent to kill you. These are not harmless NPCs, like a lot of leftists would have you believe. Apparently on Leaf server, I've now seen reports of someone who fired on some National Guard. 2 have been injured. If you can find some links, Anglo, post them into the news and politics section on my Discord. I'll take a look at them.
See this up close and hear people in psychotic episodes in their delusions is just very sad.
And that's what most of these homeless people are. They've got some sort of mental issues, they've got substance abuse problems. That's why they're there. Used to be, when America had state-run mental institutions, these people would just be rounded up in paddy wagons and taken to a state sanitarium and put there under lock and key and kept drugged up and kept out of the way of polite society and kept from being a danger to themselves and others. But then you had people like Ronald Reagan who came in and said, no, this is a waste of money and more fiscal conservatism, blah, blah, blah. So let's get rid of the state-run hospitals in California. Other states saw that and said, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's save some money here. And we'll close our hospitals in our states too. And then just dominoes fell one after another. And then you started seeing homeless people, vagrants showing up everywhere, posing a danger to themselves and to others. You had weirdos and crazies founding these sick little cults, such as the Manson family. And so you just had this long-running reign of terror and violence until finally, in the 80s and 90s, America as a society decided, no, you know what, this has gone on long enough, we're going to get tough on crime. And they did. That's how you had things like the 3 strikes policies. And now the pendulum has swung the other way. Because people cried out, oh no, more racism, more institutional oppression, blah, blah, blah. The cash bail system is so awful. We need to be rehabilitating people who are never going to be rehabilitated, but we need to rehabilitate them anyway to signal our virtue to everybody and, you know, let everybody know just how virtuous and how such good people we are. Meanwhile, criminals roam free to rape, pillage, plunder, and murder. Oftentimes with impunity. Multiple times. Over and over. Most recently, woman on a public transit system set on fire. Her attacker had at least 49 priors. I believe Alina Zarutska's murderer, something like 17, 20 times, collared for some sort of criminal activity. But oh no, we can't lock up those people. We can't just lock them up, throw away the key, or have them executed. Because oh no, that would be racist, don't you know? Fox was first on YouTube to post something about it. Twitter was faster, obviously. Find some tweets for you too. Thank you, Anglo. We'll take a look at it after this one.
So what time is it? Okay, we should go in there.
Next, Honey Badger took me to court to speak with a young lady who was arrested for a hate crime.
So it's been dropped?
Kind of.
Okay.
They're not going to move forward with it now. But they're like, we could for the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think they're going to.
We just came from the courthouse and you've been in a bit of trouble. Can you explain why?
So on October 18th, I was exercising my First Amendment right and protesting down at the ICE facility and was accosted and harassed and assaulted by a man in a dress. he wasn't happy with my presence, and he made that very clear when he put his bullhorn in my face and attempted to damage my hearing and punched me in the face after I gently tried to remove the bullhorn from my ear. So I was put on a dismissal of some sort where they could potentially...
That degenerate had it coming. And honestly, he deserved a lot worse. Let's just be fucking real. He deserved a lot worse than a boop on the nose.
charge me.
And yet, she's the one who apparently is in the wrong. This just goes to show you the ideological capture of the institutions that I'm talking about. Where good salt-of-the-earth people like her will be arrested for defending themselves. But degenerates like the bloke in the dress, screaming a bullhorn at her, in her face, gets off scot-free. He's just left to roam free, run about, do whatever the fuck he wants. No regard for who he hurts or who he injures. Still not tired of all that winning, toy squeak. Yeah. Yeah, what winning? What happened to all of that? What happened to you can just do things? If we had anything resembling a functioning government that actually worked for us, there would be no-knock raids at dawn the following morning after the murder of Charlie Kirk. Not this nonsense of waiting for the killer to turn himself in on the advice of his pastor and his father. And there would have been dawn raids of a lot of people who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk on whatever trumped up or bullshit charges we could think of. Because God knows they do it to us. We should be doing it to them first. First chance they got, they would try to fuck us over. We need to be fucking them over first. Someone's going to get fucked over. We might as well be doing the fucking. But no, we've got weak-willed, spineless cowards in the American government and in the rest of the decadent West. None of them have the balls to do any of these things, to do what must be done, to purge our society of these menaces. No one has what it takes. No one has the courage. And so, you know what? We're going to keep losing. The people will see this, and they're not going to turn out like they did this same time last year. They're not going to do that for these people anymore. And so what's going to happen? Midterm shift. Legacy media is going to gaslight everybody and claim, oh, this is the shift, and you know, people don't really buy into all that MAGA bullshit. We're on the right side of history. Registered trademark. Copyright, all rights reserved. This is a great victory for our democracy. Registered trademark, copyright, all rights reserved. You watch, it's going to happen.
Within like 2 to 3 years, but they're not going to make any moves as of this point, is my understanding.
Yeah, they're keeping it in their back pocket. To where if you do try anything else, they'll trot that back out again. The message being sent to this woman is, you keep your fucking head down, and you stay out of the way. And you do it in this 2 to 3 year window. Otherwise, we will bury you.
What were they saying you were doing? Like, why are you in court today?
Harassment and bias crime too, yes.
Yeah. So a bias crime is sort of like a hate crime, is that right? Because I've never heard of this bias crime.
Yeah,
thing.
so when I was in jail, I asked many times what it was, what's going on, and finally at around 10:20, when they were taking my mugshots and my fingerprints, I asked I believe it was a jailer of some sort, what my charges were, and he told me, and I asked him to explain what bias crime 2 is, and he essentially told me, if you were to walk up to me, call me the N-word, and then hit me in the face with a brick, that's your charge.
But it was obviously something to do with the fact that this bloke...
It's total bullshit. She didn't do anything like that. It's just because she defended herself against an obvious degenerate, some fucking nonsense address, that she's facing bias crime charges. It's total bullshit.
Was a trans person, right?
Possibly.
One would presume, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
possibly.
It's
We
walking
don't.
right
We
by.
don't know, but that's the pretense that's being used.
So forgive me.
No, we don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
I am like, now I'm really shook.
Well, you're rightly, a bit traumatized by the whole thing.
Multiple police officers were standing by. I don't have any doubt that there were a handful of them that actually saw it and didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's another thing too. You go to these protests and the police, they don't do a fucking thing. If anything, they are in league with the Antifa protesters. I am convinced they are in league with the Antifa protesters. That is how deep the ideological capture goes. It's certainly that way in the UK. Firas Mudad had a tweet a while back where he was getting reports of some enclaves that have been set up with like neighborhood watches to try and protect their community from these Middle Eastern rape gangs. And as time goes on, you're going to start seeing that. Much more of that. Not just in the UK, but in other parts of the world. People setting up what appear to be neighborhood watch programs, but are really just enclave militias to try and protect themselves from an increasingly dangerous environment in their communities, in their suburbs, probably even out in the countryside. But they're not just going to be going up against rape gangs and gangsters and common petty criminals. It will get to the point where they're going to be facing off against their own government. Because the government, in what appears to be so prideful, but they're like, we can't do anything to protect you, but by God, if you try to protect yourself, we will put you in jail, or we'll just kill you. It's going to come to that. You're going to be seeing a lot of mini Wacos and mini Ruby Ridges, where people are just going to start banding together and saying, we just want to be left alone. We just want to be left in peace. Stop killing us. Stop looking at us as targets. Leave us alone. And you are going to have hostile ethnic groups that are saying to them, no, we want you dead. We will take everything from you, and we will kill you. And then you'll also have governments saying, you are not allowed to defend yourself like that. That is our job, but we're not going to do the job because we want you dead just as much as that lot over there. That's what it's going to come to, chat. You had best prepare accordingly. Phalanx, 3-stream watch streak. Well done.
That night, we returned to the ICE facility, where some protesters told me one day killing fascists might be justified.
So we're back at ICE. We've already had one guy try and intimidate our cameraman here.
Yeah.
But over there, we've got the dancers, people dressed up in funny costumes and things like that. They would argue they're just trolls. This isn't violence.
That's the friendly face for the media. That's just the friendly face that the legacy media knows to focus on to provide cover for the more violent individuals in the crowd. Government, we decide who lives and dies. You won the lottery for dying. Yeah. And apparently white people won that lottery. Funny how that works.
This is just them having fun, poking fun at the evil fascists over here.
I would say that's their propaganda that they're manufacturing so they can say, look, we're just having a dance party. We're not doing anything crazy. I don't know what everybody's so upset about.
Can I ask why you're here?
I'm here because I come from a community I have family at risk to ICE, and I come from a community that's at risk. It is being terrorized by ICE.
Why is
He is quite possibly an illegal alien who does not need to be here.
your face covered?
Because I'll be arrested if they see me.
So she is in the country illegally. Got another one, boys.
I'm not allowed to protest here.
You're not allowed to protest here. Why not?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the courts. I didn't do anything.
I just want to win the lottery on attractive white men. Wish I could help you there, mate.
How many times have you been here?
or believes ICE rolls up any and everyone. Yeah, could be that deluded. More than likely, she's an illegal alien who's not supposed to be in the country in the first place. They really don't need to worry about their faces being covered or not. We've seen how they can get away with anything. Who cares if we've conquered Twitter? Fair point. And there are some people who have the courage to just operate out openly without a mask or anything. But still, they know to cover their asses legally. As long as they wear the mask, people can. They know that the authorities will largely look the other way. Doing it unmasked, though, you've got some sort of you've basically identified yourself publicly, and they can't look the other way on that. Saw a headline that 4 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE in Oregon. This is what happens when you disrupt their operations. Honestly, 4 is rookie numbers. Got to get those numbers up.
Do you come here often?
I do. I come here. I've been out here since early June, like since the 3rd.
We've seen lots of signs calling ICE fascists around here. Not signs, but graffiti and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's also a couple signs we've seen that said, like, kill ICE, kill fascists. What do you make of that?
I mean, to each their own. Some people like...
To each their own is what he says. To each his own. He's too cowardly to engage in actual violence against ICE officers, but he sees somebody else maiming and killing an ICE officer, he's going to look the other way or provide some sort of cover.
To be very vocal about their displeasure for fascism, and well, it's on the rise. We are in the midst of a fascist takeover. So I guess resist how you want to resist is what I would say.
Even through killing?
I don't know. I don't think we're at that stage yet, but I hope we don't get there. I hope we're able to do things democratically and peacefully.
These people have no idea what a fascist takeover even looks like. I don't think anybody has any idea what a fascist takeover looks like. And I don't know if we ever will, because, again, everyone's just been so ass-blasted with propaganda and programmed from young ages that fascism bad, and anything we don't like, or anything that the establishment doesn't like, is fascist. Therefore, fascist bad, therefore, kill fascist. They always become indifferent when pressed on violent opinions, so they don't out themselves. Exactly. Though, I mean, look at this face. Phenotypes and appearances often don't lie. Does this look like somebody who would be a violent threat? I highly doubt that. This is the sort of chap that you slam a gun into his hands and say, cover me, and he's just going to run away and drop the gun on the way. Never mind they call everything fascist. I despise absolutely everything authoritarian, but even using effective power, which doesn't describe themselves as socialist, is now fascist. I call stolen valor.
But
there may be a stage.
There may be a stage where we need to get more aggressive with resisting fascism and the rise of it, yeah.
What does that
I mean, listen to that voice, too. Does this sound like a tough guy? Does this sound like we're dealing with a tough guy? No, this sounds like somebody who would just immediately go down one punch in a bar fight. He sounds like the sort of nerdy bloke who in another time and place would have been constantly beaten up and given swirlies in high school and stuffed in lockers and had his lunch money stolen on a daily basis. This honestly is someone who should have been bullied a lot more in his youth. I think he would be violent if he believes himself to be the victim. Now the question you should ask, does he look like he could be a model and steadfast person? Oh, I already know he's not a model and steadfast person. I mean, you've heard him talk. He's already hemming and hawing on the question of, is it okay to murder your opposition? Till the violence gets uneven.
Look like?
I couldn't tell you. I'm here peacefully, so that's my take on it.
What would mean we get to that stage where you need to use violence to achieve your goals?
I don't know. I haven't really considered it yet. I'm here mainly peacefully.
Yeah.
And so the idea of being
he
violent
knows.
and
He's
going
just
down a
insane.
violent route hasn't really... I'm still in the hopes of we can do this peacefully and democratically Oh my God! For those, but there are those out here that think differently.
Really?
And I'm not going to judge them for that.
So
It's not my place to.
there are some people here who do think
I
that.
believe that you should kill fascists, and to a certain degree, I don't know. I have no opinion on it.
And what brought you here, or what brings you here now?
Well, honestly, because a lot of old white dudes in America f things up, right? A lot of them have supported Trump and made it horrible. So I've got to be one of those that are willing to stand up. And my mom, frankly, went through.
Guy would crumble if someone bows up on him and isn't scared or prepared to throw down. Yeah.
She was born in Berlin and went through World War II. And while my grandfather had Jewish friends and a Jewish banker that he worked for, so I'm sure they weren't Nazis. But I always wondered what caused that. And because of that, I became an expert in pre-World War II Germany. And Trump looks scarily, eerily.
He's become the meme chat. He's like, I'm somewhat of an expert on history myself. I doubt this guy's story. Yeah, no, it sounds like complete bullshit. He's just a tired old boomer who wants some attention, and he's not getting it from the wife, or maybe a girlfriend, or maybe even a boyfriend. I don't know. And certainly not getting it from the children or the grandchildren. So here he is, out and about, causing trouble. Oh, fucking careful, Anglo, careful.
Like that. I mean, he and Hitler, despite physical differences and some style differences, tactic-wise, are really similar.
We've seen a lot of signs and stuff, graffiti and things, obviously saying ICE, fascists, and so on.
Yes.
A couple of the signs are saying kill ICE, kill Nazis.
It is possible, but based on location and time, people will word anything to be right. Yes, they will. He almost wanted to. You could hear the slip of the tongue there earlier that he wanted to claim Jewish heritage, but he's just like, no, that's a lie. I'd be outed. I'd get cancelled for that. So he's claiming to be Jewish adjacent. In order to score those social credit points, in order to get a little extra clout out of the whole thing.
What do you make of those? I mean, if he really is Hitler, is it justifiable to kill him?
You've got a lot of young kids here who are very emotional, right?
And that somehow makes it all right. You got a lot of young kids here who are very emotional, so that just makes it all right. Claiming his grandpa was Jewish adjacent, yes, and him being Jewish adjacent to Jewish adjacent. So it's like 2 or 3 degrees separated of a claim to Judaism, which is just ridiculous. It's like, bro, you're not Jewish, okay? You're not getting away with that. Just give it a rest. You're reaching a bit too much for the clout. You're getting greedy. And you're clout chasing a bit too close to the sun, and your wings are melting.
See their lives without a lot of hope, right?
But does that justify kind of attacking or any political violence? Like, if he's Hitler, then shouldn't we take down Hitler?
Yes, but
there you have it, caught in 4K. Violence is justified. In this bloke's eyes, in this fucking boomer's eyes. He's dodging the question by explaining how others will perform the action. Yeah, so he can keep his hands clean and enjoy his house that he owns free and clear, and enjoy his pension, his 401k, or his social security checks, or whatever. He enjoys a lot of the trappings of boomer luxury, I'm sure. And he's not going to give any of that up, especially to these young fucking whippersnappers who need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and blah, blah, blah.
When you say political violence, so none of these people, look at this, they're dancing. There's a bunch of animals usually.
See, exactly what we were talking about. It's just cover. See, look at these people dancing over here. We don't mean any harm. We're not attacking people. We just We just want to dance in public and advocate for the killing of people we disagree with. Guys, our president is importing 500,000 Chinese students, literally the second coming of the NSDAP. Yeah. Guys, our president is offering us 50-year mortgages as his supposed solution to the housing crisis. He is literally Hitler. He probably enjoys the paycheck for being there. That happens, yes. We have to remember that a lot of these people more than likely have received some sort of payment to be here. This is not organic, what we're looking at. These people are paid to do this sort of thing. Now, obviously, this is a much smaller protest if the best they can manage is to block off a street corner. So they have taken a hit to their funding, not able to spread the money around as much as they used to, but still, a lot of people getting paid for this. Some of them are paid, there's some there out of free will. Yes, we call those the suckers. The real useful idiots.
Right? There's no political violence coming from the left, frankly. You know,
What about Charlie Kirk's
That's a
death?
fucking lie.
well, that's still to be determined.
We're here outside ICE.
That's still to be determined. What, that Charlie Kirk was murdered? Yeah, newsflash, you fucking moron. The whole fucking world saw him get murdered. A lot of us have seen the video. I myself saw him get shot. They had it on video and we saw people fucking cheering about it. Not only there in the crowd, but later on social media. Fuck you. Are you a paid idiot or completely useful?
The ICE facility in Portland. Why are you here?
I'm here because I have the privilege of a middle-aged white woman. I'm employed. I have no criminal record.
And you're hoping to keep it that way by masking up, I see. That murder/assassination outed a lot of people. Yes, it did. A lot of people just came completely mask off. Including some in the Vtuber community. But, yeah. We learned that at least one half of the country wants the other half dead. Middle-class white woman. I don't think that's as humble as she thinks it is. Yeah, no.
I stand strongly against what's happening here.
It's certainly not as privileged as she thinks it is. At least not in terms of the oppression Olympics.
Are you worried about political violence in America?
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Gary.
And obviously we all saw this murder of Charlie Kirk a couple of months ago. What do you make of that?
I know that he died. I don't really have anything I want to say more than that.
We saw a lot of people.
Well, she knows that he died. She doesn't want to say anything more than that. Because if she goes mask off, she'd probably say it was a good thing. Middle-class white woman is playing the victim and oppressor in the same breath. Or just throwing out buzzwords.
Celebrating his murder online. What do you make of that?
I don't have anything to say about that either.
No.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
Nothing to say about that because it wouldn't be anything good. Ophelia43, thank you for the follow. Early Rex. Haruki, welcome in. Yeah, probably a little earlier than I normally stream, but, you know, had a day off, so here I am.
Antifa violence has claimed many victims in Portland. I sat down with some of them to hear their stories.
End period cramps now. That's not biologically possible.
Can you take us through some of your reporting, how you began reporting on this left-wing violence and what you've discovered over the last 9 years?
I started 9 years ago in Portland,
Andy and Go. We've seen some of his stuff, haven't we?
Oregon. And I was very naive then. I went out with an iPhone 7 and was just recording what I saw. And I had never seen groups of people dressed in black with their faces covered. This is 4 years before COVID, by the way. And they had bats and other tools that they use to destroy entire city streets within seconds and then disappear into the next street. During this near decade of reporting, I unfortunately have been a target several times of Antifa violence. They nearly killed me on several occasions. And I've witnessed and experienced that violence up close. And the movement in its own, what the individuals who ascribe to this ideology claim, it's about violence for the purpose of violence, in that their slogan is become ungovernable. So their agenda is to...
I mean, he would know better than anyone else. I still remember seeing that stuff when he got attacked by Antifa. Yeah, at one point I think they beat him so hard, they basically beat him into a coma. If I remember right. I could be wrong about that. Freedom of speech only applies to the government restricting it, not from other people or companies taking action due to what was said. I think that's probably the most limited traditional definition of freedom of speech. But I don't know if that sort of definition has really kept up with the times. Because you've got a lot of non-governmental organizations, corporate organizations, that control and hold significant sway over things that are effectively public utilities masquerading as private companies. And a lot of them are using that definition to, or have used it to silence a lot of dissent. Paul Miller, aka Gypsy Crusader, has the exact same story to tell.
Attack state institutions, law enforcement, with the goal of destroying the United States and all nation states, actually. The U.S. is convenient. They view it as the head of a monster that they want to slay. And their project is to create a stateless society where people govern themselves autonomously.
Is far left...
That's what they say, but I don't believe that that's what they really are after. What they're really after is just communism. Pure and simple. We've seen it before, we've seen what it looks like. Whether it's the former Soviet Union, China, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, we've seen what that looks like. That's what they're really after. They are there to create a problem, create a power vacuum, and have communists, left-wing, globalists, oppressive forces swoop in, take control, clamp down, and then all the revolutionaries who don't fall in line are lined up and shot. Tale as old as time.
Violence on the rise in America today.
It has. There's actually been some research that's been put out looking at a surge, actually, in left-wing violence. A lot of people were quite shocked that after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that there was such open celebration for that murder that was in front of an audience of thousands in Utah. But I wasn't surprised. I had been seeing now for 9 years of my reporting on left-wing violence that the Antifa violence was becoming mainstream.
My name is Brian Owendoff. I have been in commercial real estate development for 34 years, half of that here in Portland, Oregon.
This building we're sitting in now, you developed.
Yeah, I was the owner's rep and oversaw all development of this $740 million mixed-use project.
You actually...
That includes a Ritz-Carlton hotel. Very posh. I don't even think that even after communism, they just are the ultimate defenders of neoliberal economics. Why do you think they defend companies diversifying? It's like doublethink. Wave the banner of one thing and support another. I guess I'm looking more towards the ultimate end goal. But yes, definitely defenders of more of a very perverted, very perverse neoliberal economics. I mean, in the short term, yes, that is what they're doing. They have become... These same people were claiming to be anti-globalism and anti-WTO protesters in the 90s in places like Seattle. And now, so many of them, they are the WTO. They are the globalists. Because so many of them, they are the ones who are getting in and maintaining that ideological capture of companies and institutions. But the ultimate end goal, what they have in mind, maybe it's not communism like in the old days, but gosh, it certainly looks like it, or looks very similar to it. It certainly has that frightening aura, that sort of brutalism and just lingering sense of hopelessness and malaise.
Experienced a far left attack here in this building.
So this was May 1st of 2023. In my 18 years here in Portland, May Day is always a big day for Antifa. They end up having either a protest or some violence. We ended up having an arson fire started up on the 17th floor on a cross hallway. Caused the sprinklers to go off, water to go from 17 down to 12, impact about 43 rooms that had been completely punched, ready to go. The reason I believe it was Antifa was we ended up also having damage to 17 of the 132 units where they scraped into the glass ACAB and 1213 and Eat the Rich. So this was not an Amish gang from Ohio or Pennsylvania coming out here to do it. It was Antifa, and there was a lot of chatter on the web about this. They had purposely targeted this.
I'm the president of the Portland Police Association. The Portland Police Association is the kind of rank and file police union in Portland, Oregon.
So in your experience as a police officer in Portland over the last 20 years, have you witnessed an increase in political violence?
Yes, political violence has it's been interesting. You know, we've always had a very robust protest community. And a lot of our protests, the vast majority of them are in fact peaceful. You know, in 2010, you had Occupy Wall Street. That to me is when you started seeing like the all cops are bastards. That was kind of the origin of doxing. I got doxed in 2010. I had people calling my phone and my wife's phone, threatening to rape and kill my wife and infant daughter. You know, and they were claiming Antifa affiliation. It was very organized. It was very fast. And then 2020 was kind of where Portland became very famous. We always kind of had these issues, but 2020 happens, and for 180 days straight, every single day for 180 days, we had a riot. Full send, firebombs, people boarding police stations and our union hall shut and lighting it on fire with people inside, people getting Molotov cocktails thrown at them and lit on fire. Again, I personally was in our union hall with it boarded shut and lit on fire.
In any other functioning society, those people would have been rounded up as the terrorists they were and put in a hole so deep nobody would find them. Just argue and support things which make them look like the stereotypical Disney-like evil capitalist. Yeah. They have become, in a way, the very things that they claim to oppose. But how can I put this? They claim to oppose those sorts of things. They claim to be anti-capitalists. And yet, they are the very people that will say, leave the big corporations alone.
People, pulling guillotines out, which is just, it's shocking behavior.
Do you think the kind of rhetoric that we're seeing around cops and also ICE officers is perhaps leading to more violence towards those people? So calling them fascists or pigs or something.
Right.
Justifies, in their mind, attacks on the officers.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, my real concern right now is we're seeing it on both sides of the aisle. Our officers in Portland, again, politics and policing simply do not mix.
Both sides of the aisle? I question that.
Police officers, again, they're human beings. They have their own perspectives. I'm sure there's police officers with all kinds of different political views. But you agree when you put a uniform on to set all that aside and go and enforce the law that you are given the authority to enforce.
You and I both know it never works out that way. And as we have seen in Michigan, Minnesota, even Portland to a certain extent, that is never how it works out. There's an obvious left-wing bias with police departments in those states. And those police departments are at times just absolutely running cover for these left-wing terrorists posing as protesters, or these Muslim terrorists posing as protesters. And this sort of sick, unholy alliance that they've got together. They're running cover for that sort of thing. They're looking the other way. And the only people who ultimately get arrested are the right-wing counter-protesters. I can actually relate to this. My mother, who's a Starmer cultist, tells me a lot, capitalism bad. Great, what's your solution? Corporatism? National syndicalism? State capitalism? No, she just says it's bad, but it's the best one we've got. She thinks she is a rebel against some world order, but she really isn't. No, she is very much, I'm sorry to say this, I don't like to say this about anybody's mum, but yeah, very much standing up on the side of the establishment. Especially if she is, as you say, a Starmer cultist. Then again, that is the sort of generational divide that we see these days. An NPC? Might be a more accurate description, possibly. But you see the older generations, many of them firmly in the camp of the establishment, because they know who butters their bread. They know who's going to keep the pension checks coming in. Who's going to keep the retirement account checks coming in. They know who's going to make sure that the stock market doesn't have a bad day, and that their home values stay high and don't ever go down. And meanwhile, all of that comes at the expense of the younger generations that have none of that and have no hope of anything like that. I think I saw that the age of the average homeowner is now getting up into the 40s and 50s, at least in the United States. And the best the government can offer is 50-year mortgages, so that you can, save $100 on your mortgage payment by stretching it out an extra 2 decades. And meanwhile, no real chance of getting a good paying job anywhere, because companies have just said, fuck the native population, we want H-1Bs. Or we're going to outsource this to AI. This is a situation that is just looking even more and more hopeless as the days go on. Nyada_1, thank you for the follow. Hello. And thank you for redeeming first. You jumped on an opportunity that others missed. Well done.
180 days plus, Kill All Cops was spray painted on every police station in Portland. Police officers were followed home. Police officers are getting, they'll see flyers with their names up. Every time we have a deadly force incident, people come out of the woodwork talking about how our police officers are murderers with no due process or no real facts or understanding what's going on. And I will always say any violent rhetoric towards people who are willing to serve is completely unacceptable, no matter what the origin of the comment is. And I do think that as you allow violent or tumultuous rhetoric to grow about any police organization, you are creating an environment that may lead to political violence directed at police officers, and it's just unacceptable.
Are police officers in Portland worried about their lives because of this rhetoric that we're seeing about killing cops and so on?
Yes, absolutely. Right? And again, when I've gotten in our email box for the police union dozens of emails saying Portland police are Antifa, kill all Antifa. And so the rhetoric that the Portland Police Bureau is somehow sycophantic to an organization that destroyed our city and has threatened our families, for people to say you are that, leads to people who don't like that to want to engage in violence against us.
Far-left violence isn't limited to Portland. In Seattle, I met journalist
That quack was awfully well timed.
Brandy Cruz, a former TV reporter who showed me parts of her city which were taken over by armed left-wing militants.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet
Oh,
you.
is this the whole Chaz and Chop thing?
Seattle.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so this area had some experience.
What are you even watching? We're watching a GB News documentary about Antifa and far-left extremists, mostly gathered around Portland, Oregon.
A few years ago.
This is sort of the heart of Seattle's protest culture. But also, what we're walking up to right here is the Seattle Police Department's East Precinct. And this zone is famously the 6 square blocks of the city that was taken over by armed left-wing militants in the summer of 2020. It was first known as CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and then they changed the name to CHOP, the Capitol Hill Occupy Protest. So it was in response to the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, and it lasted for about a month. It had a sign right here that said,
Lasted about a month, completely degenerated into just bedlam. And finally, the authorities swooped in, bulldozed the whole thing to the ground, cleaned it up, and now everything's back to normal. Which they could have done that from the get-go and said, fuck no, you're not setting this up. But no, they decided to let it fester. They decided to let all this go on instead of just nipping it in the bud. I'm going to go now. All right. It's not a bus stop. You don't have to announce whether you're coming or going. Fun fact about Chaz, it all looked like a white ethno-state and all the people harmed or killed were black. What do they mean by this? Yeah. Funny how that works.
welcome to CHOP, or you're entering CHOP. And actually, for a big period of that month, this 6 blocks was patrolled by left-wing rioters who were armed with AR-15 rifles that had been handed to them on video out of the trunk of a car.
Did anyone get hurt? Or
I wonder who was driving that car. We may never know now, though I suspect probably some intelligence agency connections.
has anyone been hurt by these left-wing militants in the last few years?
Oh, 100%. And again, it varies in severity. For instance, my crew, when I was in mainstream news here at CHOP, was mobbed the night that the autonomous zone formed. So I've been assaulted. I was assaulted by left-wing militants outside the ICE facility in Tukwila, which is south of Seattle, just back in June. So far, at this point, nobody's been arrested for that assault. One of the militants, all masked, tried to blind me with wasp killer, sprayed it directly in my eyes, in the face of my security guard. I had colleagues in mainstream news who were assaulted here in CHOP and basically told by their bosses to shut up about it.
So we can see here that...
Told to shut up about it because they had an agenda to push, and all of this put that agenda at risk, put that whole narrative at risk. And so it didn't fit the narrative, therefore, it would never see the light of day on those legacy outlets. You don't hate the media enough, chat.
There's a park over there, and something happened in this park, quite shocking.
So this is Cal Anderson Park, and it became almost like the encampment for CHOP. So there was a tent city, there was a community garden, and that's maybe fine during the day, but at night, it became a very dangerous place to be. And remember, there's no law enforcement in this area. So there were...
It was complete and total anarchy, and so all the bad people swooped in and saw it as just a grazing ground. They won't mention as well, Chaz turned into a warlord dictatorship for a few days run by a rapper called Raz Simone, and the armed anarchists didn't shoot them or start a civil war because they didn't want to seem as racist. So they just complained on Reddit saying he's ruining the experience. I think that's why a lot of these people will never rise beyond the level of useful idiot. Because if they had any good sense, they would have fired those shots and they would have started the civil war internally for control. Because by failing to take action like that, they basically guaranteed the whole thing would just implode upon itself. Which may have been the objective from the beginning. I mean, the whole thing was, on the one hand, not necessarily a serious threat to the nation or to the state of Oregon. Certainly was a blight upon the city, and for that justification alone, police should have moved in a lot quicker and just tore the whole thing apart and locked everybody up. The fact that they did not, I believe, is evidence of the ideological capture there. To me, it shows an almost tacit or an implicit approval of what was going on.
Several instances where women had reported being raped in the encampment, and they would actually have to leave this area to be able to get help from law enforcement.
So should we go next to the George Floyd?
After today, can we start arresting these people? I wish that would happen. That is what I pray happens, but I fear that that prayer is going to go unanswered. Because, again, we're dealing with a judiciary and police forces that are more interested in box ticking and are more interested in sort of imaginary procedure that doesn't really mean anything. They're more interested in hiding behind rules, regulations, procedures than they are actually getting shit done, because they're afraid of putting their own asses on the line and doing something that would make a real significant difference in the world. They're more concerned about their pensions and making it to retirement than they are defending and serving their communities. And so they will continue to hide behind rules, regulations, and procedures and say, oh, our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do. When you present any other situation, then all of a sudden, rules, regulations, procedures just go out the window, and they just say, fuck all that. No-knock raids at dawn. Double tap, bag 'em and tag 'em. Really funny how it's so selective in the application. And when especially it's people on the right calling for action, all of a sudden it's like, well, we've got all these rules and regulations and procedures that we have to follow. We've got to play by the rules, you know. But anything else, it's just like, no. No-knock raids at dawn. Double tap, bag 'em and tag 'em. Waste 'em, we're always right. Really interesting how that works. Really gets the old noggin jogging, you know.
Floyd protest place downtown.
Yep.
And check it out.
15 years covering left-wing extremism in the city. This riot was one of the most lawless situations I've ever experienced, besides obviously CHOP, which inherently is lawless. So there was what started as a peaceful demonstration after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And I would say there's maybe 500 people down here. And this is the city core. This is your business district, shopping. Pike Place Market, which is one of the most popular tourist destinations, is just blocks away. And all of a sudden, it turns into a riot. I've never seen anything like I saw here. I remember standing on this corner up here, and there was a Seattle police SUV right here in the middle of this road, fully engulfed in flames, people jumping on it. These businesses in this area were looted to the studs. And I mean, I remember walking on the street, no cops to be seen anywhere, and there were just naked mannequins that had been strewn all over, because they took everything, and they even ripped the clothes off the mannequins.
It's like the old joke that the late Robin Williams made on Johnny Carson after the Rodney King riots. Did an impression of the rioters like, yeah, man, this is for Rodney King, and the 5 TVs are for me.
So a lot of these businesses have been boarded up for years and years and years. But
They're
there's
never coming back.
what was a Banana Republic up here on the corner in a beautiful building that you'll
They're never
see
coming back.
looted, never reopened.
So this is
No, and it's never going to reopen. It probably never will reopen because it's just too dangerous. Because nothing has been done about the people who fucked everything up in that neighborhood to begin with. And I would be willing to wager, and I'd probably win the bet, that a lot of this commercial real estate here that they're walking past is owned by giant corporations. And it would not surprise me if most of it is owned by BlackRock and Blackstone. And they're so massive that they don't care if it stays empty. They'll just use it as a tax write-off. That's why you see so many storefronts in so many places, so much commercial real estate just staying empty. Because if the landlords try to negotiate with existing tenants on the rent, the banks will call the loans. And they're all so bloody scared that it's going to end up being a race to the bottom in terms of rents. Everyone is just so scared shitless that one person is going to make a move and start lowering the prices on rent. And it's going to catch on, and it's just going to be a race to the bottom. Which it really needs to be. It's called a natural market correction. They happen all the time. But to hear these large commercial real estate companies and the banks talk, no, that's not allowed to happen. Because they're so scared that they'll have another situation like what happened between 2006 through 2009. They're afraid of another market correction. And so they are doing anything and everything to try and juice the real estate market to make sure that rents and real estate prices remain artificially high. That would be wonderful for young families. Yes. A market downturn would be fantastic for young families because they could finally afford a fucking house. But oh my God, that might affect boomers' pensions, which are made up of stocks, mostly from Vanguard, BlackRock, and Blackstone. That would mean that the boomers have a bad day on the stock market. We can't have that. So this all is just going to keep going until the boomers die off and until gigantic financialization companies like Vanguard, BlackRock, and Blackstone go under. And given that those three alone are just sitting on so much fucking money, I doubt they're ever going to go under. They could hemorrhage cash for years and they'd be all right. These are gigantic, monolithic mega corporations that own half the world and desire the other half, have so much money it's into that sort of crazy, stupid level that it doesn't even mean anything anymore. And yet they'd rather just take a tax write-off and let whole storefronts, whole streets, even whole town centers lie dormant and empty. Whereas alternatively, they could just lower the fucking prices. They could just give people a fucking break. They could just do the right thing. But that wouldn't make Big Line go up.
Opened after that.
The very downtown of Seattle. This should be the most busy place, right?
This should be the most vibrant area of Seattle.
And you've got businesses boarded up because of the left-wing violence that happened just years and years ago now, but they still haven't reopened.
A combination of that and then combined with the environment. But this is what cities like Seattle and Portland have resorted to. This used to be the Banana Republic, this whole building here on the corner. So you'll see this a lot in Portland as well. They don't want a vacant storefront. So what they do is they do these art installations and the city will support them and host them.
Probably split the money between themselves. And so the city looks the other way rather than riding the asses of these corporations to say, oi, get some tenants in there. No, let's just put in some fucking postmodern artwork that looks like total shit. But hey, it'll make it look like it's not empty.
Across America, far-left extremism is on the rise. When leaders label their opponents Nazis, some take it as permission to kill. As leftist extremism continues to spread, for many, the question is not whether there will be another political attack, but when and who.
And in who, indeed. Right, give that a like. Got over 14,000 likes. Always good to see. Get the music going again. And we'll post the link in chat for everybody. Go watch the video. Go give it a like.